Hi, my name is Dasha, and today I want to share with you how to get a cozy home that we really enjoy to spend our time in at all times. Our home should be a safe space for us first and foremost, but also it's a place where we recharge. So this is where we get ready to go to work or to go out and see our friends. And that's why I feel it's so important to make sure that our homes are as welcoming and as comfortable for us as possible at all times. I've developed a set of principles for myself where all of the time that I spend at home, whether I'm relaxing or, doing something around the house, I'm really enjoying my time here and I feel at peace. The first two principles that I want to mention might sound similar, but in reality there is a big difference between them. Number one is cleanliness. And by cleanliness, I mean the cleanliness of surfaces, of our floors, how clean your bathroom is, how clean your appliances are, for example, the microwave, the stove in the kitchen, whether any surfaces are dusty or greasy. So maintaining the cleanliness in our homes at the basic level of just getting rid of the dirt, right? I don't think I should spend too much time on this because I think you'll agree with me that the cleaner our home, the more welcoming, the more comfortable it is for us to use and relax in. Eating at a greasy table or cooking on a dirty stove or, using appliances that are not the freshest is not the most pleasant experience in the world. So just making sure that we take that time out of our day, that we use the right cleaning products and just maintain our home at that level of nice, clean and fresh is going to make such a big difference to how you feel in your home. This makes us feel more refreshed, this makes us feel more motivated, and it just releases that tiny bit of anxiety in the back of our minds that things that we touch in our homes are just not as clean as we'd want them to be. So for the sake of that fresh feeling, I would suggest that we start by cleaning our homes first. And now that that's out of the way, I'm going to move on to point two, which is tidiness. And yeah, I understand that tidiness and cleanliness might sound very similar, but as I've mentioned before, there is actually a tangible difference between them. Cleanliness is about the state that our possessions are in, whereas tidiness is about the location of these possessions. I've read this really good book, which I'm sure you're familiar with if you were ever into cleaning or tidying. It's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. And in this book, Marie Kondo advises that every item that we own should have its own home within the apartment or the house that we live in. And this home could be a nightstand, it could be a wardrobe, it could be a shelf or a mirror cabinet in the bathroom, it doesn't matter. But the point is, if we define a home for each item that we own, for everything we possess, then we will know exactly where to return this item after using it. Often we just dump something that we've just used on the nearest surface, like a coffee table or a nightstand, and we just tell ourselves, oh, I'll put it away later. And this item might be sitting there for a few weeks or even a few months gathering dust, or worst case scenario, we might not even have that home place defined for this item, in which case we just use the nearest surface to store it and it lives there indefinitely. And in these situations, we either spend 30-40 minutes at the end of every day to make sure that we put everything that we've dumped at random places away, or we just, use the open surfaces in our home to collect clutter. If we just make sure that we know a home for every item that we own, and also that we return everything that we've used straight away to where it belongs, it's just gonna get so much easier to keep our homes organized and tidy. Now, I've taken this organization and tidiness one step further, and I have boxes, containers, and bottles for pretty much everything in my home. For example, in my kitchen, I use plastic IKEA containers for all the grains and dry food that I store, and when I buy washing up liquid, I always pour it to a glass bottle, reusable glass bottle that I've bought for myself, rather than keeping it in its original packaging. I also use boxes for my paperwork. I have two boxes. One is for important documents, which is anything from my passport to any medical records that I have to keep, and another one is for memorable items, in which I keep birthday cards that my friends have gifted me and any photos that I've decided to print out and store in that way, and anything else that's dear to me. And there are two reasons for which I use all of these kind of storage solutions. One is for convenience, because trust me, it's so much easier to look for a piece of paper you've lost in a specially dedicated box for it, or pour your breakfast cereal into a bowl from a plastic container rather than from a carton that it came in. And the second reason is to reduce visual clutter, because when we store multiple items in a single storage solution, it's just so much easier on the eyes and it reduces that visual mess around the house. And also, for example, in the case of the washing up liquid, I really don't like using the store container that it comes in, because it's just so colorful and so visually distracting, and that's why I prefer to use a reusable glass bottle that I bought for myself to pour the liquid into it, just to make it a little bit nicer to look at. Principle number 3 in our cozy home list is our bed. And I do understand that our bed is just one piece of furniture around the house, and it's so narrow and so specific to be mentioned here, but at the same time it's so important to just make your bed in the morning. First of all, if you have to pop into your bedroom during the day and you see a bed that's made, it just gives you such a calm and serene feeling, because our bed is the central piece of our bedroom and it really ties the whole room together if it looks nice. Well, and of course it's so much nicer to climb into bed in the evening that was made and that has fresh sheets, and it's just such a relaxing experience that prepares us for sleep. I always try to make sure that my bed has fresh sheets and that I make it every morning, just to give myself this sense of calm and serenity throughout the day. My next principle centers around having plants and flowers in our homes, and by that I don't just mean potted plants, but also flowers in vases, bouquets, because I think they're equally, if not more important, in giving your home this cozy vibe, cozy feeling. Out of potted plants, I prefer those that won't take too much time to take care of, because I know myself and I'm probably not going to spend ages looking after a plant. So in my living room I have two monstera plants, Albus and Severus, and here I also have a plant that was gifted to me. I don't quite remember the name of it, but it only requires watering every 7 to 10 days, so it's relatively easy to look after it. And when it comes to flowers, I prefer those that last the longest, so that could be chrysanthemums or carnations, or here I have, I think they're called Mathiolas, and they also last me well over a week. Plants and flowers are always such a great addition to any home. They bring a pop of color, they make the room more interesting visually, and I'm not necessarily saying that you have to have flowers and plants in every single room of your house, but just having a few plants here and there, a few pops of green, or a bouquet of flowers in your living room can make all the difference in the world. The next point I want to cover is lighting, and here I can divide it into 3 sub-points. The first one is daylight, and that is that during the day, try to make use of daylight as much as possible. Let daylight into your room rather than using artificial lights. Daylight is the softest and the most natural kind of light there is, so during the day, open up your curtains, open up your blinds, and try and let in as much daylight into the home as possible. Daylight will make sure that your home feels so much fresher, it will give you energy, and it will also bring out the natural colors in your home. Now for the evening, when daylight is not really an option, I have 2 tips. One is to use warm lighting, and what I mean by that is, you know those people who use bright white lights in their homes? I feel like I'm in a hospital when I'm in a room with that light. I understand that this bright white light will make it easier to see to an extent, but at the same time it will never give off this cozy, calm feeling that we want to achieve in the evening to help us relax. So I always make sure to use warm lighting in the evening. I have a smart light system, so I ask my Alexa usually to set my lights to chocolate, and this is such a cozy, slightly dim, warm white setting that really reminds me of a candle to an extent. It makes my living room so much cozier, and I also use it in the bedroom right before I go to sleep, just to make sure that I'm relaxed and preparing for bed rather than being disturbed by this bright white light shining in my face. And my last tip in the lighting lighting department is to always use layered lighting, and by that I mean not just have a single source of light in one room, not just have the ceiling light, but also make use of table lamps, floor lamps, desk lamps. For example, in my bedroom, before I go to sleep, I only use the nightstand lamps because the light from them is just a little bit softer and not so much in your face as the one from the ceiling light. The next principle I try to follow is to make sure that my home has a nice smell. And I understand that if our home is clean and fresh, it will already have this nice, pleasant, neutral smell around it, but we can take it one step further and use scented candles or aroma diffusers. My personal preference is scented candles, and not just because they give out this divine smell around the house, but also because, having spoken about layered lighting, it's just an extra source of this cozy, small light that's really pleasant to be around. Candles are also great because you can switch them out depending on the season. For example, in autumn you might prefer earthier or spicier smells, whereas in spring you might lean towards something fresher like citrusy or floral smells. This way the aroma in your house will always give out the vibe that you are going for, improving your mood and just making it overall more enjoyable to spend time at home. And the last thing I want to bring up is personal touches. I've seen a lot of photos online of people posting their homes, showing off their organizational skills, home inspiration, and a lot of the time the surfaces in these homes are completely empty, everything's tucked away. Of course it's perfectly organized, but at the same time it doesn't really look like anyone's living there. I like having things at home that have their own story and that tell you more about the owner of the home, and that generally just remind you that somebody's living there. And these could look very different from person to person. For example, it could be a meaningful gift that somebody's given us. It could be a photo that we framed and we've put on our nightstand, and it could even be something that we've handcrafted and now we use it as a decoration. For example, I really enjoy those diamond paintings where there is a canvas and you stick those plastic beads in the right spots on the canvas, and as a result you have a really nice colorful piece of decoration. And I have 3 of those in my corridor and 1 of those in my office, and I'm really enjoying looking at them. And this personal decor is only for you. It's not for your guests, it's not for anyone to judge, it's just for you to look at and enjoy because it has a meaning behind it. And that's what truly makes our home unique and what distinguishes, for example, our home from the home of our neighbors. Because for now I don't have my own home, my own place, and I rent instead, I gave here some tips and tricks that are good for rental homes. Because of course, if you own your own place, it's so much easier. You can change the color of the walls, you can change the floors, tear out the carpets, replace with wooden floors, and just in general make it look exactly like you want it to look, whereas with rentals this might be slightly more challenging. I really hope you found this video useful for yourself and your home. Thank you so much for watching. I will be happy to see your support if you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!